All right. Oh, hi. So first of all, thanks for having me. This was really spontaneous. I think I got approached to speak at the meetup on Monday. So this was all done real quick. The thing I want to talk about today is Visual Diff, which is visual regression testing for your Laravel application. Just as a short disclaimer, because this was so spontaneous, I think this is quite a short talk. I just put it up together for this meetup. Quickly about me, my name is Marcel Pociot. I'm a managing partner and developer at a company called Beyond Code. I started the company around 6 months ago, so it's all relatively new and fresh and a lot of work. And you can follow me on Twitter if you want. When I'm not doing work, which has become quite a lot recently with my company, I really love contributing open source and giving back to open source. So a lot of time of my free time that I have is spent with open source packages. I do quite a lot of things in the open. I have more than 30 PHP packages available, which have been downloaded quite a lot of times. They're not all Laravel related, some of them are. And in addition, I have a Chrome extension, which is called Laravel Test Tools. It allows you to record your browser activity, so you can activate it on your application, and then it records where you click, where you type certain things, and it gives you at the end a PHP unit integration test snippet. And it's being used by 50,000 users per week. So I know it's not the TDD approach, but it's helping to write more tests for applications. That is great. Okay, and beside that, I am the developer of a chatbot library, which is called BotMan, that allows you to create chatbots and voice bots for multiple services using one code base. Okay, so about visual regression testing. Why actually do you want to do this? So when you're working on an application, especially with front-end developers, a lot of things might change that's not under your control. So I, for example, I'm not a front-end developer, and writing CSS is definitely not my strong side. And in one of the recent projects, a lot of times we worked together with an external team that does the front-end stuff, and things broke, and we didn't know why. And so I just want to give you an example. So this is just the standard Laravel login page that you get when you do the PHP make auth. And when you change something, you see the difference? Yeah. Okay. And with visual regression testing, what happens is you take one screenshot and then you change the UI and you do another screenshot, and then you just put a diff on both screenshots. So in this example, I think you probably can't see it on the beamer, but what actually changed is, you see no border at all, right? So what changed is not only the padding of the forgot your password button, but in addition to it, also the border color. So the visual regression testing helps in this case to show you the actual visual diff of your application instead of just diffs for your code. And since Laravel comes with a lot of testing tools out of the box, it's really easy to add these visual diffs to your existing HTTP tests. So this is just the basic example test that ships with Laravel out of the box. And all you need to do is call this visual diff method on the response. So in this case, we're going to get just a home page, and then we do a visual diff, which makes a screenshot of the web page, and if you run it a second time, compares it. And the same thing also works for Laravel Dusk. For those of you who don't know what Laravel Dusk is, it's a browser testing suite. So it allows you to really start a headless Chrome that you can use to interact with your application. So you can also test JavaScript with it. And it works in the same way. You just add the visual diff function after you visited a page, clicked on a button, entered some text, etc. And with this, you can start the visual diff process. Okay, perfect. So this is what the login page looks like. And if we run the tests, everything's green because we haven't changed anything in the UI. We get a 200 OK. And now what I want to do is go to the login page and then maybe remove the border from the card. Now, as you can see, the test failed because the diff of the images was greater than what we can configure. So we have in a configuration file, there is a maximum error percentage that you can configure. It defaults to 0 because usually you don't want any visual errors. But you can change it. And so in this case, the PHP unit tests fail because the image is diff. And the cool thing is with iTerm too, I don't know if there's something like this available for Windows too, but with iTerm you can actually display the image inside of the terminal. So you can also directly see what's causing the issue. And now if we rerun the test, it will keep failing because we haven't approved this UI changed or reverted it. So if we want to approve this, what we can do is we can just pass an argument to PHP unit. It's called update screenshots. And now what it will do, it will accept the current UI state as the new comparison. So now if we change the login page and add the border again or change the color and run the tests again, it will fail again because now we have a different image that will be used as the comparison. And something else that the library supports is, let's say in here we hide this, but not on small screens. So this is always hidden, but on small screens and upwards, it will be displayed as a block. So if we rerun the tests, it's all green, hopefully, because we just test on one resolution. It's 1920 by 1080. And what you can do as well is you can configure different resolutions that you want to test against. So if we take this into the config and rerun the tests, it's still not failing because we just created the test. So if we take a look at this, all screenshots are stored on a configurable path. And now we see that we have a screenshot with an empty login box. So if we remove this, rerun the test, we can now see the diff for the smaller resolution because this is now the one that fails. And you can also, instead of just using all resolutions at all your tests, change this so you can do something like visual diff for resolutions. And then pass an array of the resolutions that you want to test in this specific case. So if you don't want to test all resolutions always, you can add it here. So yeah, that's the basic principle of how this visual regression testing works. And you can configure the threshold of the diffing process so that you can allow a certain amount of differences in your images. You can configure the anti-aliasing, which might make a difference if you, for example, render circles in your browser, and you can change the path of the screenshots. The whole thing is on GitHub. This is our company GitHub account, where we also have other Laravel-related packages so far. And it's licensed under MIT, so you can take a look at it, play with the code, send issues and PRs if you want. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
If I wish to use this on a continuous integration server, I must what to do with images? How to? I must push on version control. Or...
Yeah, in this case, the screenshots would need to be in version control, which is not good. So I thought about this and wanted to integrate different Laravel disks, so that you can store the screenshots on one specific disk, for example, on S3, so they're not under version control. Yeah.
Is there a way to do some action after loading the page? So, for example, select some checkboxes or stuff like that.
Yeah, if you use Laravel Dusk for the testing, you can see here that we visit the page. And after visiting, you can just interact with the website. You can scroll, you can move the mouse, you can upload files, whatever you want, yeah. So the visual diff command just takes a screenshot at the time where you place this function call.
Some JavaScript function.
Yeah, that's also possible with Laravel Dusk. You can execute JavaScript. So I think there's an execute.js command on the browser instance where you can just execute JavaScript.
Is there some visual guide where the differences are?
Yeah, it's a bit hard to see on the beamer, but you see underneath. So the red line is the diff. That's what changed, and you don't see it on this screen at all, but underneath it, so half transparent, you see the whole page. You just don't see it on the beamer.
Is there a way to limit to just a certain portion of the page? Like, do only the right hand column?
No, not at the moment. So it takes a screenshot from the browser in the specific resolution. You could, with Laravel Dusk, you could scroll to a specific point on your page and then take a screenshot, but yeah, it will still be in this resolution.
Does it make tests only on the one browser?
Yeah, it's using headless Chrome.
So there is no difference between browsers?
No. And I mean, at the end, this needs to run on CI, because all these screenshots take a lot of time to render and create diffs.
Plans next? Do you have any features in mind?
So yeah, the next feature I want to add is change also the disk where the images are stored. That's the main big thing. And I really want to get, I don't know when I find the time for it, but the ideal goal would be to remove the rendering process from the local machine and upload the assets. So in the ideal solution would be you have some kind of screenshot service. You just send your assets and the HTML. There is a proxy server running that takes the HTML and all the assets and then takes a screenshot for you. Because then you can parallelize the process and have 20 screenshots in parallel.
Integration with conception.
Yeah, I thought about that too, yeah. But with because Laravel has the HTTP and the Dusk test already integrated, it just made sense to build it into it. And it's really nice that you can just integrate it as additional method calls on the existing response.
Tied to Dask?
No, it's you can either use it. So this is not using Dask. In this case, the get call just returns HTML.
So
And
it's not tied to Laravel either.
right now, well, the core of it, the visual diff thing, is not. Yeah, it just receives HTML and then takes a screenshot out of it.
How fast is it, for example, 100 pages?
It's not fast, I can tell you that. So just to give you an idea, if I take this with 2 resolutions and just 1 screenshot, it's 4.3 seconds on my local machine. For one, yeah. So yeah, the screenshots, especially with Dask, it's actually a bit faster because then the Chrome is already started. And you just take a screenshot, but if you don't use Dask, you have to, I'm just starting a headless Chrome every time you do a screenshot, and that takes time.
Background, what do you use for image differences?
It's also in the README. It's a node library which is called pixel match. So the whole diffing is extremely fast. That's not an issue. It's really just taking screenshots. Okay, thank you.